So we're currently in this series on James with a theme called A Faith That Works. A Faith That Works. And today we come to James chapter 3, verses 1 through 12, where the author talks about the importance of taming our tongues. And I think we all already know how important to choose our word wisely is. We all know that. I'm sure you've already heard so many Christian teachings about how we should be responsible for what we speak. And I could remind you some from the list of many ways how our words can cause harm. Lying is bad. It's part of the 10 Commandments, obviously. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Gossiping, we all know how bad that could be. It's part of I heard someone saying that gossiping is two persons talking about someone who's not with them, and when neither of them are part of the problem nor the solution. That's gossiping, right? Insults are bad also. Complaining is bad. Christians need to be people of joy and enthusiasm and hope. It is too easy to let our words and our actions suck the joy and life out of our lives as the body of Christ. It is important to listen more than speak fast. Curse less. Not to use discouraging words to each other. And also being patient before you speak. Don't let our emotions take over what we say and how we say them, because we will surely pay the price later. Hypocrisy, which means too much talk and not enough action. Too much talking about the law and not enough acting in love. And that was Jesus' major accusation against the religious leaders of his time. And again, we've heard this list before. And we know them, and we know how important and true these are, as we know how hard they are to remember every moment of our lives. But today I would like to approach this passage from a step behind. To James, the theme of right speech, choosing the right word, was one of the 3 marks of true religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless, to use the exact quote from the chapter 1, verses 26 to 27. So there are 3 traits in being a true person of religion. To tame your tongue, that's the first one. Second one, to look after orphans and widows, that's the second one. And the third one is to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So 3 of them, just 3 of them. Those 3 are the marks of being a pure religious person that James teaches us today. Taming the tongue is that important. It's not optional. It's that important. It may be small, but like a horse's bit or a ship's rudder, it can determine the way the whole person is going with his life. A promise can be broken by our words. A precious relationship can be spoilt forever by the words we speak. And it gets even more serious. In the later of that chapter, the tongue is a fire ready to burn everything down in a person's life. The gospel, Jesus, teaches us that what comes out of the mouth is a sign of what is really there deep in our heart, from Matthew and Luke. And James echoes that teaching when he says that the fig tree cannot bear olives and the vine cannot bear figs. So I can tell you what this passage is not about. What this passage is not about is how well you could bite your tongue. It's not about how well you could bite your tongue. It's not about having high level of pain tolerance. But it's a question of what's in your heart. And whatever is there, it will be expressed through your mouth. That's what it's about. And this collective power of words shape the world that we live in. And to borrow the words of Barbara Brown Taylor, she says, whether we mean to or not, we construct worlds with speech. Describing the world we see, we mistake it for the whole world. Making meaning of what we see, we conflate this with God's meaning. Then we behave according to the world Then we behave according to the world we have constructed with our speech, even when that causes us to dismiss or harm those who construe the world differently. And as I was reflecting on this nature and the power of our speech, at the bottom of it was a mirror to look back to ourselves, an opportunity to do a litmus test of where my heart was by the words coming out from my mouth. At the core of all of this, the simple reading of verse 2 of the 3rd chapter reminds us where we are. And verse 2 goes like this. We all stumble. We all stumble in many ways. So let me share one of my stumbles during this past week. And I've been sharing this with some of you, and our 5-year-old is in kindergarten, which means for the next 15 years, we're going to live a life of school parent. And waking up early in the morning, trying to get some quick breakfast while getting dressed at the same time, and brushing your teeth at the same time. Leave home early enough so that you don't get caught behind the school bus. That's going to be our lives for the next 15 years. With Zoe, counting Zoe's years. But it's been blessing so far. Noah has been great for the past 2 weeks and has been loving the school and has been loving his teachers and his friends much better than what we expected. We were being prepared how he would handle the full day of school away from us, but it's been surprisingly going well. And then this past Wednesday, I was waiting with him in front of the school with other children and parents for the bell to ring. And I tried to engage in a conversation with him with the hope that he could switch gear from home to school, right? So I said this. I think you have art class today, right? All of a sudden, there was this sense of resistance in him. He was telling me that he didn't want to go to school. All of a sudden. He was even telling me that his throat was feeling a little funny since the night before. And soon enough, he burst into tears and cried, grabbing all the attention from around. Clearly, there was something about that art class that made him resist. He asked me if I could talk to his teacher about this. So I told him that he needed to tell me first what the reasons are so that I can talk to his teacher about it. What about the art class that makes you not want to go there? He thought about it for a while as he continued to battle this sorrowful resistance in his voice. And then he told me this. I don't like how the art teacher looks like. I don't like how the art teacher looks like. Now, until then, I had absolutely no idea what the art teacher looked like. I didn't know if the teacher was male or female. I didn't know how old the teacher was or how young the teacher was. I didn't know if the teacher had a scar on his or her face. I didn't know what ethnic background the teacher was from. But those words, what happened was that those words were enough to pull all my social justice strings into that situation. So I began to preach. So I began to preach to this crying child with this sense of urgency that our child is developing a habit of being a judgmental person by a person's looks. No, that's a horrible thing to say. Not liking a person because of their look is very bad. Imagine someone says that they don't like you and that they don't want to be with you because of how you look like. Would you like that? I cannot give this reason to your teacher because it is not a good reason. So after watching him walk into the building with his classmates, I texted Hyun what happened. And I came to realization how deeply mistaken I was. First of all, he didn't have art class that day. It was the day after. I shouldn't have assumed that incorrect information I overheard. And second of all, apparently the reason why he didn't want to go to art class was not because he didn't like how the teacher looked like, but actually it was nothing about that. It was because he was anxious about being in a new environment. Being in a new floor, new room, a new teacher with his classroom teacher. Without his classroom teacher in the same room. All it was that he didn't have the knowledge of how to express that experience by himself. After Hyun having a conversation that afternoon with him about the art class, and sharing how she also feels the same way when she is in a new environment. Long story short, he had a blast in our class the next day. But the point of my experience is this. As I was reflecting on today's words from James chapter 3, verses 1 through 12, my mind was keep going back to that morning, remembering that sense of urgency, making that moment more about what I needed to teach him, without allowing enough room in my mind to listen to what was really going on. No wonder why today's reading began by saying, "Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly." No matter how good my intentions were, I was clearly off sync that day. To me, it wasn't the matter of choosing the right words or wrong words. To me, this message for me was about how the direction I set to take was a misleading one from my heart. And I can tell you, this is only one of the many moments of reflection from this week. Was my heart in sync with that person who was looking for housing, who just popped into my office one day? Was my heart in sync with those in the meeting that we were having here? And even, was my heart in sync with that person who might disagree with me. And that is the main reason that I didn't, or more correctly, I couldn't, take this sermon the direction of being a teaching moment to tell you what you should do or not do. It's because I myself is never immune from those mistakes. I myself has a long way to achieve that level of Christian wisdom. Continuously regretting the words from my mouth, continuously wondering if I should have spoken less. But I found the good news from the place where I seek God's help in the stumbling nature of mine. Asking God to help me to be more conscious, to be more aware of my words, my expressions, my gestures towards others. Asking God to help me and walk with me so that I can truly love the people I encounter in many, many different ways during our week. And for this good news of God's presence and guidance, I give thanks to God. Amen.